In December 1999, a courtroom in Colombia fell into a state of absolute psychological shock as a quiet, ordinary-looking man named Luis Garavito confessed to being the most prolific serial killer in modern history. For nearly a decade, local police forces had been completely baffled by a wave of terrifying disappearances across multiple cities, finding no clues and leaving grieving families helpless. Garavito, operating under the sinister nickname, the Beast, masterfully wore various elaborate disguises, transforming into a street monk, a charity worker, or a disabled salesman to gain the immediate trust of low-income children on the streets. He used small amounts of cash, cheap toys, and promises of jobs to lure his innocent targets away from crowded markets into the isolation of abandoned sugar cane fields. Once isolated in the heavy vegetation, the true horror of Garavito's depravity was unleashed. Investigators later uncovered a sequence of pure physical and psychological torture that stunned international forensics experts. He bound his victims with heavy ropes, subjected them to horrific physical trauma, and eventually ended their lives with absolute cruelty. Because Colombia was suffering through intense political instability and massive displacement in the 1990s, the local authorities consistently failed to connect the cases, allowing the predator to move freely from town to town. His reign of terror only began to fracture when a local street vendor noticed a suspicious man leading a young boy into the tall grass and alerted a nearby police patrol. When intelligence officers finally raided Garavito's hidden hideout, they discovered a chilling collection of evidence that sealed his fate forever. They found a dark leather notebook containing a meticulous, handwritten body count, alongside dozens of photographs of missing children and the exact disguises he used during his hunts. Forensic scientists used newly developed DNA testing to match bloodstains found on his clothing to multiple active crime scenes, forcing the killer into a total legal corner. Despite the overwhelming brutality of his crimes, Colombian law at the time prohibited life imprisonment, sentencing the monster to a maximum of 30 years, a legal outcome that sparked massive public outrage and violent protests outside the high-security prison walls. Luis Garavito spent the rest of his life locked in a restricted, isolated cell, heavily guarded by armed military guards to prevent other inmates from executing him. The psychological trauma he inflicted on the nation left a permanent scar on Colombian history, rewriting the country's laws regarding child protection and criminal sentences. He passed away behind bars in October 2023, taking the exact locations of many missing victims to his grave. Today, the original interrogation transcripts, the bloody crime scene photographs, and the killer's personal notebooks are preserved in heavily secured state archives. True crime researchers study these grim files to understand the dark mechanics of a real-world monster whose chilling legacy still shadows the region.